WWF will be in 2021 60 years old. But when we celebrated our 50th anniversary, we were ready to celebrate our successes, but the planet was never such in a bad shape as then. So we started thinking, what happened to us? And the conclusion of WWF was, we're working alone. We're trying to change the planet alone, and that is impossible. Therefore, we started a big restructuring, and today WWF is totally open to work with partners. My name is Ricardo Bosshard. I'm the director of WWF in Chile. I study agroengineering, and I have a master's in environmental management at Dalhousie University in Canada, and a diploma at IMD in Lausanne on leadership. WWF is one of the biggest NGOs in the world. Our global budget is around $800 million. And you may think that's a lot of money, but we really want to change $100 trillion economy worldwide or planet-wise. That is a huge challenge, and that we cannot do it alone. We need partnership and different partnerships to really have a good try. Here in the Netherlands, WWF and Rabobank signed a partnership, a global partnership, to try to address financial and environmental problems. In Chile, we have the second biggest global production of salmon, and we were very interested to explore this northern partnership in a country and see if we could use a partner like Rabobank to really accelerate change in the salmon industry to decrease the impacts on biodiversity, the things we cared as WWF. So why an NGO like WWF and a bank should be partners? Well, we know that the planet needs to change and very fast. For example, in SDG 6, we know we need 1 trillion investment per year, and we have only around 300 million between philanthropy money and governmental money. So where the rest of the money will come, it has to come from the private sector, from equity, and there where financial institutions are key. So this investment really helps solve the problems and not on the contrary, makes more problems. So what did we work in this partnership in Chile? We wanted to address one of the toughest questions companies have is 1, how to interact with biodiversity, 2, how to interact with communities, and 3, how to solve the most important impacts in the field. The first one, we started to create methodologies for the salmon industry to really try to not affect big cetaceans that swim in our Chilean waters, where we have one of the 3 most important populations of blue whales. The second one is we created a toolkit for the companies to really address social issues and start really speaking with communities. And the third one, we created the first bankable projects for the industry to move out of the lakes by having investment alternative to produce $50 million feasibilities. Once these methodologies were developed, Rabobank start requesting these tools for the clients to comply with it. For example, a green lending was emitted in Chile, and these were part now of the contract or the covenants of the credit. And therefore, for us as WWF, we started to see change accelerated through the work with a financial institution. So what are the challenges for 2 such organizations to work together? Of course, interest is one, because we both have a different objective as organization, but also languages and how we spoke. We have different professions. We have many biodiversity experts, and the bank has, of course, finance experts. These communications sometimes is not easy at all, but if you overcome these challenges, then a successful partnership comes out. So what are the opportunities of the organization that participate in a partnership? And they have to be clear opportunities that can harvest it, otherwise it will not work. For WWF, we wanted to see acceleration of the changes of salmon producers so we could protect the ecosystems. For the bank, they wanted to see lower risk of an industry that really was not at risk from social complaints or destruction of the environment. And for the companies, of course, they want access to credit at affordable rates if possible. Let me give you a clear example of something that happened that nobody foresaw when we designed this partnership. One Chilean company decided to purchase another one, and they needed $100 million as a credit. They approached Rabobank. Rabobank wanted to make it a green lending. Therefore, they approached WWF to set this standard. At the end, this transaction meant that today 10% of global production is under the environmental and social KPI that WWF was able to design, and therefore we see an organization that has lower impact on the environment. My final messages are, first, the partnerships are the future, but they're difficult and challenging to implement. The irony is, the more different the organizations are, the more potential there is for a bigger gain, but at the same time, more difficult it will be to implement them. So if you're in charge of a partnership, be careful how you choose and how you implement them. If you think systemic change is something for you and partnership are a tool, I can say for myself that I found very useful to have worked in NGOs, but before in the private sector, to speak different languages, to have approached different industries, because it has allowed me to see potential in potential partnerships and really communicate with each one of them to really bring successful partnership to a good closure. So how you know you've been part of a true partnership? If you won all your arguments, you've not been part of a true partnership. If you lose all of them, either. The only way that you know that you've been part of a true partnership is if both parties come out different than you came into the partnership.